Hello again, and welcome to class number 6 in Effective Meeting Management, Speech Communication 4397. I'm Dr. Martha Hahn, and we have about a dozen people in our studio audience and another 25 or so students receiving credit for this course in the home viewing office. If you're a channel surfer and just happen to pop in with us, we welcome you and encourage you to stay with us. Last week we took a tour of Dallas via videotape, and later on today we're going to be going to Scottsdale, Arizona. We'll see that there's a change in the type of properties that we'll be visiting. The hotels that you saw last week were primarily vertical properties, and a little later today when we're in Scottsdale, we'll be seeing properties that are primarily horizontal and that fall into the category of resort properties. But before we see that tape, I want you to be thinking about what you know about the difference of those, what you would expect in a resort in contrast to a downtown hotel, to a vertical property, what those differences might be, and then we'll see how many of those you thought of once we get to that tape. All of you should be working by now on your projects, which involve planning a major meeting. A couple of people have talked with me already and gotten clearance on what they're thinking. If you're not that far along in your thought process, it's time to get yourself there within the next few days or so. Get a commitment so that you can start researching properties and options and so forth. We have scheduled in the next class Jane Jordan from the Hyatt Regency, who will be here talking about negotiating hotel contracts, the things that a property such as the Hyatt expects from its meeting planners. And you'll want to plan to get good notes from her so that you'll know the kinds of things you need to get together. For me, will in some part coincide with the things that the hotel would expect from you should you be the primary meeting planner. Next week, we will have Stephanie Muley, the Director of Catering Services, and an additional guest that she's bringing with her to talk to us about food services, catering, meal functions, arrangements for banquets. So you're going to get a lot of information. We're probably going to Hawaii a week from today. So you home viewers too, if you want to get a free trip to Hawaii via video. That's what we'll be doing 2 classes from now. But I want you to have a lot of information about hotels, about meeting space, function space, options, so that you can think about how these different types of properties in different locations may influence what you're doing. Okay, first of all today I want you to think about what you know about airports. How many, just name for me out there, how many airports, the names of airports that you have been in?
John F. Kennedy.
Okay, John F. Kennedy. LaGuardia. LaGuardia. We got to say it right, I'm told. Yeah.
Honolulu. Honolulu International.
Okay, and Hawaii. Okay, I haven't been to that one, so yes, sir. O'Hare. Okay, and where's O'Hare? Chicago.
McCarran.
Where's McCarran?
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas. I haven't been there. Okay, yeah, where else?
Heathrow, London.
Heathrow in London.
Dhahran, Saudi Arabia.
Okay, Saudi Arabia. You've been around. Okay. How many people in class have been through Intercontinental? Okay, the whole class. That's good. They're just quiet today. How many of you have been through Hobby Airport? The whole class. There was a groan over here. Oh. Was that better or worse?
It's gotten better. I remember when I first moved to Houston, that place was a joke. There was no place to park. Most metro traffic was routed in and out of Hobby. Some airlines didn't fly out of there, and it became a great deal of confusion. I mean, to make a flight at 12 noon, you had to board at 9 o'clock in the morning if you had any hope of getting out of Hobby Airport. Just there was nothing there.
Okay, long ago is what, 15 years?
15 years is about right.
Okay. Name some other airports. Has anybody been anywhere else? I've been through Logan and Boston.
LAX.
LAX. Okay, I haven't been to LAX, but I've been to John Wayne in Orange County, which is the Hobby Airport counterpart to LAX.
John Wayne Airport is considered one of the most dangerous airports in the United States. Pilots despise flying into that place.
Really? We had a lovely time, but that was 15 years ago too.
Lindbergh Field in San Diego.
Okay, I've flown into San Francisco. I've forgotten the name of the airport.
SFO International.
Is it just SF International? Okay. Any other places?
Mitchell Field, Milwaukee.
Milwaukee, okay. Everybody go through Atlanta at one time or another. Hartsfield and Atlanta. Okay, that's a big one. Anybody been to Denver?
The new or the old?
Either one.
The old.
The old. Okay, what have you heard about the new one?
It's a mess.
It's a mess. Why?
The operational system took longer to put together than they had originally estimated. Baggage system was horrible.
You can't get your baggage.
Bags are falling off the conveyor belt as you're sitting waiting on your bag. The bag's actually falling 4 or 5 stories below you. And it was quite a problem.
Yeah, I think there's a lawsuit going on, the major difficulties there. Denver has been losing convention business because of the airport. And we've talked about all these other things. There'll be a little bit on the tape today about the airport, but that's a dimension we haven't focused on much. You saw the Dallas airports briefly.
That's what happens when you fix what ain't broke. There was nothing wrong with the old Denver airport. I mean, it's a mammoth dinosaur, that new airport that they created. And for no reason. I mean, Denver, Stapleton can handle all of the traffic that it was assigned to it.
Is Stapleton still open?
Stapleton is semi-close. Stapleton's become like the Sugarland airport that's being used for small traffic.
Okay.
But Stapleton could adequately handle whatever it had. Why they
Well,
went to
it may
Stapleton-
make a comeback. You know, they tried to close, I don't know if they tried to close Hobby, but they cut Hobby way back. And then they got all these cranky customers who said, we don't want to drive 25 or 30 miles to Intercontinental. It's too far. And Southwest was doing a booming business because they were basically the only airline there. And now look at all the airlines that are back in there, Delta and American Continental. Do they have?
Continental isn't flying.
No, they're just up north. Who else is at Hobby? American, Delta,
Northwest,
Northwest,
TWA.
TWA. I'm trying to give fair time here, yeah, and all. Okay, but that's a response to consumer demand, you know, and what meeting planners need in terms of getting their people around. And you have to take into account, is it going to take your people an hour to an hour and a half to get, oh, I've been through Dulles and Washington, D.C. You know, do you go into National, downtown? Which, anybody been through National? It runs parallel to the Potomac River. You know, they had a bad plane crash there years ago, a plane that iced up and was too heavy. Yeah, Florida Air hit a bridge and went into the river. You know, that's kind of a scary thing. But that airport is right downtown. You know, I've flown into Scottsdale, I've flown into Tucson, and there are all kinds of things that go with different airports. You know, flying into National is very scenic. I mean, I remember the moon coming up behind the Washington Monument and going ooh and ah and all of that, which is an impressive thing, but the traffic jam getting back to the airport on a Sunday evening, it took the limo 2 hours to get from, I think we were in Alexandria. Anyway, we were not that far away, but the traffic was just bumper to bumper, and I ended up walking several blocks in order to get to the terminal in time to get. Now, I don't know that that's typical year-round. It may have been a really fluky weekend. But having some information about the patterns of flow, you know, will your people need rental cars when they get there? How are they going to get from the airport to the facility? And in some instances, there are shuttles that run quickly and promptly, and you know, sometimes there's even free transportation to nearby hotels, and that's true of a number of them around the National Airport area that are just across in Virginia or whatever. But if people are going to have to rent cars and drive themselves across Boston or take a shuttle from DFW or O'Hare, and most of the big airports are out fairly remote for the benefit of the local residents. I think it was Phoenix years ago that had, it was either Phoenix or Tucson, but Phoenix I think, that had an air ordinance that the planes had to take off at about a 45-degree angle as part of the noise abatement. you know, and if you have, now I like to fly, so, you know, that was kind of neat. But for people that are white knuckle flyers to start with, you know, to take off and just climb like this. Now in Dallas, you know, if you're at Love Field, that happens because they have to miss the skyscrapers and all. So you get a pretty steep climb, you know, you go straight up and then you're halfway to Houston and you come back down again and all. But there are things to take into account with the airports as well. Mm-hmm.
When flying out of Vegas, you have the same problem, but planes always turn around if you're coming back towards Texas, and they basically clip the mountains. And you want to talk about white knuckles, you should see when this plane is starting to turn around and make a wide U, it just makes you not want to fly anymore. It makes you think that the train is really a very variable mode of transportation.
So, any other comments or observations about airports? You know, but you want to know, can the people get their luggage in a timely manner? There are now airport taxes in many instances that are added on to your airline ticket, a user fee for going through the airport. And you need to be aware of that as you talk with travel agents or the airline. Mm-hmm.
When you said about planning a major meeting as a project, would that be, hypothetically speaking, if I was going to plan a convention, pick a location, the hotels, the banquet facilities, and all the other stuff that we've done so far?
Yeah, we went over that in the first tape, which you need to go back and see. Some others out there, I'm sure, do too, because we have people added late. And in our face-to-face meeting next month, we'll spend a lot of time doing individual sorting out of options and so forth. But right, you're putting together a major event from the quasi contracts to, you know, you're not obviously not signing a real contract. Please don't do that. You could be in real trouble. But you know, you're picking a location, you're identifying a theme, you're planning the event from start to finish. Mm-hmm.
Are there any limitations, amount of people, or what deadlines are you going to set on this?
What did I tell you? You need to have at least 500 people. There's no upward limit on it. But I don't want a little happy 2-day seminar where we all, you know, pop out for pizza and sleep over for a night. Okay. I've got some suggestions here. We'll see the tape in a little while. We've been using Convene magazine. Again, I'll just put this over to give some credit to these nice folks. This is one of several journals that is available to professional meeting planners, and they have graciously allowed us to use whatever we need to on the air in order to clarify what we're doing in this class. The particular references I'm going to make today are out of this March '94 issue. But there was a fun article, a useful article, back in that particular issue written by one Anver Suleiman, and I hope I'm pronouncing the name right, that was entitled Little Things Mean a Lot of Additional Registrations. And I'm not saying that you need to do all of these things as you're putting your proposal together, but these are just some things to think about. You know, you'll have to make up some hypothetical fees for what you're charging, and they need to be realistic to cover the cost of meals, to cover the cost of registration packets, this sort of thing. Very often there's a premium for registering early. You know, and if you've been invited to participate in anything, you know that, you know, the early registration may have $25 or $100 less, just depending on how big the total package is. But a premium for registering early. Now, why would you want your people to register early? Nicole?
Advanced planning, so you can get started on making your plans and how many to expect.
Okay, especially with a big group, you're going to have to duplicate things, you're going to have to make banquet reservations and so forth, and even though you'll finalize those at the last minute, if for some reason there's a big change, a surge in attendance, or a drop-off, you need to know that. You may need to release function space back to the hotel. You may need to request additional space. If your hotel can't handle it, then, you know, you'll have to look for overflow properties. Anyway, you'll need to work out your options. And the more information that you get early on, the better off things will be. Okay, sometimes there's a specially designed letterhead for the occasion. Often organizations have their own letterhead to start with, but if there's a theme for the convention, then you might add that slogan, the particular theme, to the letterhead as part of your mail-outs. Okay, sometimes groups give special treatment for the previous year's attendees. I don't think I've been to any that do that, but that's one of the suggestions here, that, you know, if you're attending consecutive years, then perhaps you get some kind of discount or other special perk. Providing an executive summary, a brief summary of the program, you know, that hits some of the highlights, maybe flags the keynote speakers or special convention events, and to get those out as teasers early on is one of the things that you can do to get people interested. Okay, to stamp or print final notice on your last mail out. You know, a lot of times, if I'm familiar with a group that I know they're going to do 2, 3, 4 mailings, then I may not worry about the first 1 or 2 because I know, you know, a newsletter will come a month later that it still gives me an option to register. But if this is in fact the last mail out, maybe put that on there big and bold to make sure people don't bury it on the top of their desk. Sometimes you can mail to the superiors of people that you want to come, and that happens to me sometimes as department chair, that I'll get a packet of flyers then to be distributed to all of my faculty. It saves on the distribution time for the parent organization. You know, you mail it to all supervisors of a certain type, or all CEOs in a certain category, or whatever, and then use those people to assist in the distribution to additional persons, particularly when you don't have a specific mailing list. That can be helpful for you. But then, you know, if you're into this on a long-range basis and you're working with the same group year after year, then you would want to compile a mailing list of the people who attend each year, and you would get that from your registration materials, so that the next year you send it to the people who came last year, the previous year, and any new people that you think might be interested. Okay, another thing that sometimes works well is to secure co-sponsors. If there's a peripheral group, like when Texas Speech Association meets, there's also an organization called the Texas Forensic Association, which is primarily debate coaches, individual events coaches, competitive events coaches only. And they meet in conjunction with the other convention. The planners work it out so that the meetings don't overlap. And usually the tournament coaches meet in the evenings, and, you know, the regular attendees are in a daytime format. But by co-sponsoring, the smaller organization gets the benefit of the group rates secured by the bigger organization. Social functions enable the two groups to mix, you know, even though their business sessions particularly are different, and some of their convention planning is different, there will be some crossover in those attendees, and so you get a bigger overall turnout, which may help you in getting volume discounts, securing better group rates. Did you have a comment?
Yeah, I have a question. When you say get co-sponsors, assume, hypothetically, I'm putting together a group from ACLA, which is the American Trial Lawyers Association. There's another group called TTLA, which is the Texas Trial Lawyers Association. They deal specifically in Texas law, while ACLA deals in U.S. law altogether. If I put this group together, why can't we have, or can we have, is a better question, the same format? In other words, when everybody comes to this conference, even though TTLA is just the little brother of the group, there's something to be learned by everybody because of the procedure.
Oh, right, and they might choose to attend everything, but they might need some functions that are separate to take care of their own business. And it just depends on which groups you're mixing. For example, when the Speech Communication Association meets in November in San Antonio, there will be probably 2,500, maybe 3,000 speech communicators in attendance there. Well, there's a commission that meets with them called the Commission on American Parliamentary Procedure, which may have 30 to 50 people at its meetings. But it meets in conjunction with the big group, one, so that people like me who belong to both don't have to pay to go to 2 separate conventions. You know, and there are just advantages when the big organization, there's a religious speech communication association. I think there's a gender association. There are probably 8 or 10 specific either commissions or associations, smaller groups that meet in conjunction with the big one. And the planning for a convention like that, which has hundreds of programs in a 4-day period, 10 to 15 of them occurring simultaneously, that's a massive thing that's going, and I don't expect you to do anything like that in here. Texas Speech, on the other hand, which will be down at the Hyatt in early October, uses at the most 10 breakout rooms at a time. There are sometimes that everybody is in the same business session or in the same social function, or there may be 3 major workshops going on. But there are a few situations where all the different interest groups are either holding business meetings or having some kind of individual function. So at the most, at prime time, usually on Friday, you may see 10 events occurring at the same time. But the idea of co-sponsoring can help get attendance up at a group. Maybe you only co-sponsor one function. Maybe you get a group to co-sponsor the keynote speaker for the convention, because that's a person that appeals to someone else who's in the area. It may be a related professional organization, or it may be just another group in Houston that would have interest in this particular speaker. And so they'll kick in a little money for honorarium, or they'll throw in all the graphics and advertising for, they'll do something to help out that makes them worthy of being listed as a co-sponsor. But you'll get more people into that particular session because you've had that kind of additional input. So co-sponsors may work well. Okay, and then doing add-on functions either before or after the convention, setting up tours of the area, special workshops. One group I worked with does officer workshops the first day of the convention is scheduled like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but then on Wednesday afternoon there's a 3-hour workshop for officers, which encourages maybe 1/4 to 1/3 of the convention membership to come in a day early. Okay, or you might have a tour, a sponsored tour or optional tours or something that start the day the convention closes, so that those people who have more time, extra money, can travel with their friends that they've either known or met during the course of the convention and go out and tour the wineries outside of San Francisco or something like that. So anyway, these are just some things that may get you thinking, that can either work as teasers or as extra little bits and pieces that will help get your registrations up, help get your attendance up. Most meeting planners want more people to attend. Okay, usually more is a good thing. There are probably some somewhere who hit a ceiling and say, okay, 20,000 people came in this year, that's enough. We're not trying to go beyond that. Or we had 100,000 in here for the Home Builders Convention, and we really don't care whether another 5,000 come or not. But most of the time, more is good, and certainly the local economy always wants to see additional people coming in. The hotels, the people who are selling the products associated with your meeting. Want that to happen. And all of those people are involved in the communication process, either with each other or with you. Communication is just the cohesive glue that's holding all of that together. Okay, we're going to, now that we've taken care of that, we're going to take a trip. Like I said, we're going to go to Scottsdale, Arizona. We are going to look at some resort properties out there. There'll be a few plugs for rental cars and some other things in there too. But think about how these, because I want you to tell me when the tape is over, think about how these properties are different from the properties that you saw on the Houston. We had a little short Houston tape, and then we had the longer tape on Dallas. How are these properties different from these big city tapes, what kind of people, would there be a difference in the kind of people who would want to travel in one place or another, or does it matter? Okay, we're ready to roll the tape.
Welcome to Where America Meets, the video magazine specifically designed with the meeting planner in mind. In this issue of Where America Meets, we take you to one of the top-rated resort communities in America, a city where the sun always shines, Scottsdale, Arizona. Perched at the base of Camelback Mountain, Scottsdale, Arizona sits in the heart of the area known as the Valley of the Sun, where there are over 300 days of sun a year. One of the busiest airports in the country serves as the gateway to this top-ranking resort destination. Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport services Scottsdale with 12 major airlines. More than 1,000 flights arrive and depart daily, with over 114,000 available seats. The airport is served by many ground transportation companies that will help get you to your hotel or destination. One of the most popular and unique ways to travel through Scottsdale is aboard Ollie the Trolley, a unique way of touring the city. Often referred to as the West's most western town, Scottsdale offers a blend of southwestern hospitality with a wide variety of attractions. Centrally located in Arizona, Scottsdale is only hours away from all the natural wonders in the state. From the magnificent Grand Canyon to the brilliant painted desert, nature's abundant beauty will astound you. World-class shopping with southwestern zest, Scottsdale has over 2,500 boutiques, shops, and malls to entice you. Take home the finest southwestern apparel, rare antiques, or most unusual gifts. Shopping settings are just as marvelous as the selections. Visit the Borgata, a 14th century Italian-style village, a living recreation of medieval Europe. Not to mention the charming neighborhoods of shops, Fifth Avenue, Marshall Way, and Old Town Scottsdale, founded in the 1880s. There's also spectacularly modern high-tech malls. Scottsdale's Fashion Square blends Scottsdale's quiet past with its dazzling future. Scottsdale is also a golfer's paradise. Tee it up at some of the finest golf courses in the world. As a major stop on the professional golf circuit, Scottsdale's metro area provides more than 125 beautiful desert courses. This world-renowned golf destination attracts players from Europe and Japan, as well as the U.S. Staging an event in Scottsdale gives new meaning to the word professional. Whether you're planning a convention, an incentive program, a VIP conference, or a team-building program, Scottsdale's facilities are comprehensive in scope. Individual meeting rooms and outdoor function space range in size from 100 to 22,500 square feet. All of the facilities are staffed with professionals who are enthusiastic and dedicated to seeing that your function is a huge success. Scottsdale has more than 9,000 hotel rooms, ranging from 5-star movie star-style resorts to cozy, more modest lodgings. This Arizona city is equipped to handle your convention and meeting accommodations with precision, class, and southwestern flair. High in the Sonoran Desert, there is a very special place where the rugged Arizona landscape meets a sun-drenched sky and time is all but stilled. It is here that the Phoenicians spread majestically over 130 acres at the base of Camelback Mountain, creating a visual masterpiece. The Phoenician has it all. Just 9 miles from Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport, the resort is only minutes from Scottsdale's finest shopping. The Phoenician has sometimes been referred to as a meeting planner's dream, and it's true. Ideas were gathered from top meeting experts around the nation during the planning stage of this destination resort. The results? 60,000 square feet of flexible event, meeting, exhibit, and banquet facilities beyond comparison. The dazzling Phoenician Grand Ballroom is especially designed for maximum impact, with large-scale business gatherings demanding as much as 22,000 square feet. Double air walls make the ballroom divisible into 7 independent meeting areas while retaining acoustical integrity. The Phoenician Grand Ballroom accommodates 2,500 people theater style, 1,517 classroom style, 1,870 for banquets, or 2,444 for receptions. The south foyer and east foyer of the ballroom provide additional space that can be interfaced with the AV system or operated independently. Designed for highly specialized conference needs, the Estrella Theater is a 5,720 square foot multimedia center. Master a spectacular presentation through a front and rear projection system and 6-channel Dolby surround sound system. Strategically located are 21 smaller, more intimate, yet technically dynamic conference rooms and boardrooms. These areas range in size from 434 to 1,116 square feet. All of the Phoenician's meeting facilities utilize state-of-the-art technology and sophisticated audio-visual equipment. Additional gatherings can be arranged at Jokaki Inn on the resort grounds. Jokaki offers the ambience of the Great Southwest and creates the perfect backdrop for outdoor theme parties. To address the needs of the meeting planner, the Convention Services Department coordinates specific group requirements with the assistance of the Destination Services Department, providing everything from transportation to floral design to off-property theme parties. Destination Services always exceeds customers' expectations. A member of the leading hotels of the world, the Phoenician features every imaginable guest amenity. Unparalleled elegance is artfully expressed throughout each of the 580 guest rooms and suites. Each guest room offers more than 600 square feet of space and features 2-line phones, plus a dedicated line for personal computers, 27-inch stereo television, minibar, and a wall safe. As a special amenity to guests, the Phoenician's Business Center has an intimate working atmosphere and a comfortable lounge for small meetings. Diverse taste and distinctive cuisine. Mary Elaine's offers contemporary cuisine. The terrace dining room specializes in Italian-American fare, and Windows on the Green feature Southwestern cuisine. For an afternoon break, traditional English tea can be enjoyed every day at the Lobby Tea Court. The Phoenician spectacular 18-hole championship golf course displays 6,500 yards of pristine tranquility and pure challenge. Every outing is an adventure on this par 71 USGA approved course designed by Homer Flint. The tennis garden houses 11 lighted courts, including an automated practice court and center court with spectator seating. Daily clinics are offered both in golf and tennis. Individualized services are available to guests at the Center for Well-Being. In addition to weight training and cardiovascular equipment, an aerobics room with a suspended wood floor and a meditation atrium are featured. Guests have access to fully equipped locker rooms with saunas, steam baths, whirlpools, and Swiss showers. Enhancing the serene setting, the Phoenician features over an acre of sparkling pools and waterfalls. Guests may also walk through the Phoenician's own cactus garden, home to more than 350 different varieties of cacti and succulents from around the world. High in the Sonoran Desert, there is a very special place, the Phoenician. Unparalleled elegance, dynamic meeting space, state-of-the-art technology, attentive yet discreet service, world-class recreation, and breathtaking surroundings. all in the intimate atmosphere of a private club. The Phoenician has it all. Did you know that the warmer, drier air of Arizona allows you to hit the golf ball farther? La Posada, the spirit of the great Southwest. La Posada, Spanish for the inn, is located at the foot of Camelback Mountain in Scottsdale, Arizona. Amidst cascading waterfalls and the sun-bleached desert floor is the Red Lions La Posada Resort. Its massive columns, terracotta tile roofs, and the landscaping of green-crested palms and water-laden cactus reflect the tranquility and traditions of the great Southwest. Just 12 minutes from Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport, the La Posada Resort will provide the perfect environment to refresh the body as well as the mind. La Posada's 15,000 square feet of meeting space provides flexibility to adjust to any size group. The Camelback Ballroom and its 7,600 square feet of plush meeting space provide seating for 500 people classroom style, 600 banquet style, 800 for receptions, and 800 theater style. The Camelback Ballroom can also be divided into rooms of different sizes by soundproof walls. This guarantees a perfect fit for your group. For outdoor activities or themed parties, the fountain courtyard just outside the Camelback Ballroom offers an additional 8,000 square feet of space. 10 smaller meeting rooms are perfect for board meetings or as breakouts. For meetings on a less formal level, any one of the La Posada's 10 suites makes a perfect setting for a more intimate gathering. Regardless of the size, the La Posada's expert staff will see that your meeting is choreographed with a precision and professionalism respected throughout the West. And for the last 2 years in a row, the Red Lions La Posada has received the Pinnacle Award for Excellence in Meeting Services as selected by the readers of Successful Meetings magazine. When it's time to relax, the La Posada Resort's 254 luxuriously appointed rooms provide the perfect backdrop. The rooms are spacious and have those small extras such as honor bars, semi-private patios, and unique interior decors that make a stay away from home more enjoyable. Thoughts of work or deadlines quickly evaporate into the clear blue sky as your mind turns to more leisurely pleasures. Hiking Camelback Mountain provides a fascinating look at the desert ecosystem and panoramic views of the Valley of the Sun. Relax by the half-acre lagoon pool and enjoy the 4 waterfalls and the hidden grotto bar, or enjoy the seclusion of a more intimate pool area. Tennis action is never hard to find, with 6 lighted tennis courts at your disposal. If you need more exercise, a weight room, racquetball, volleyball, and basketball provide an excellent opportunity. For the golfing enthusiast, the La Posada is located within minutes of 10 championship golf courses, and a capable concierge staff can make individual or group arrangements. Regardless of where you dine at La Posada, you will sense an international flair. Mangia Bene caters to the Northern Italian taste, and the Garden Terrace prepares a variety of American and continental delicacies. So leave your worries behind and come to the desert. La Posada, the spirit of the great Southwest. Arizona is home to 15 Native American tribes and 21 reservations. The Pima Reservation is adjacent to Scottsdale. Once the American Indian roamed the rugged terrain of the Arizona desert. Today, its natural splendor remains a national treasure. And here, in the Valley of the Sun, stands a magnificent tribute to the glory of the Southwest. It's one of Arizona's most beautiful resorts, the Registry, a tropical paradise. With 70 breathtaking acres and the most exquisite luxuries civilization has to offer, the Registry will orchestrate your group event with precision, imaginative style, and creative ideas. With over 50,000 square feet of meeting space, the registry is capable of accommodating a wide variety of group requirements. No matter what size the event, the registry's convention services staff will provide the ultimate environment for your function. The acclaimed Crystal Ballroom features 14,000 square feet of flexible floor space, offering various configurations, including exhibit space. The Crystal Ballroom seats 1,600 people theater style, 1,000 classroom style, 1,400 for banquets, or 2,500 for receptions. The recent addition of a 20,000 square foot pavilion has enough space for more than 100 10-foot by 10-foot exhibits, theme parties, or concerts with up to 2,500 people. For more intimate gatherings, the registry offers 2 handsome boardrooms and 14 other meeting room choices that range from 600 square feet to 4,500 square feet. The Arroyo outdoor area and poolside are the perfect location for a Western steak fry or Hawaiian luau that will entertain 1,000 to 2,500 guests. No matter what size the affair, the registry's experienced staff will handle your event with flair and distinction. Their expertise will turn your imagination into reality. The Registry Resort believes a home away from home should provide stately comfort with a sense of understated elegance. All 318 luxurious guest rooms, villas, and suites are beautifully appointed, and every guest will receive the kind of personal service you expect only from a world-class resort. All accommodations include oversized beds, gracious inside sitting areas, and a private patio with views of the lavish gardens and landscapes. The Registry Resort, with 21 professional caliber tennis courts, has been named by Tennis Magazine as one of America's best tennis resorts. Whether it be a clinic or a tournament, the highly skilled staff is ready to design an event to make your group function a success. For the golf enthusiast, the resort features 2 of the most breathtaking and challenging golf courses in Arizona. Among the many leisure attractions available is one of Arizona's most extravagant pool areas. There also are 3 smaller pools and a whirlpool spa. The Registry's Health Center is a fully equipped exercise area and the perfect place to work out or to unwind with a steam sauna, spa, or massage. Other activities to enjoy include jogging paths and nearby horseback riding. Cafe Brioche offers a menu of delectable selections for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The Registry offers several other extraordinary dining options, including the garden patio, where you can enjoy the pleasant Arizona weather and scenic beauty. Come discover the allure of the great Southwest desert. Plan your next meeting at the Registry Resort and experience world-class luxury. Scottsdale ranks 3rd in the country in fine art purchases, behind New York and Santa Fe, New Mexico. Once you discover the Wyndham, you'll want to return time and time again. What makes the Wyndham so special? It's an attitude, a dedication to ensuring every detail of your meeting and your stay is handled in the very best way possible. The right way, the Wyndham way. The dictionary defines an oasis as a refuge, which perfectly describes the Wyndham Paradise Valley Resort. Centrally located near the heart of downtown Scottsdale, Sky Harbor International Airport is just 20 minutes away. This 22-acre oasis is an example of Southwestern design at its finest. The Wyndham Paradise Valley Resort is a AAA 4-diamond resort with breathtaking beautiful landscape, open-air courtyards with fountains and waterfalls, all in a lush, sun-drenched location. Imagine a resort that complements the beauty of the desert and provides an impeccable top-notch staff, exquisite dining options, and 28,000 square feet of flexible meeting space. Groups of up to 2,000 can be accommodated at the Wyndham Paradise Valley Resort. From the small executive boardroom meeting to gatherings for more than 2,000, the Wyndham provides professional staff and a complete list of amenities to make your event an outstanding success. The 13,000 square foot exhibit forum can accommodate 800 to 1,000 people for banquets, 1,600 to 2,000 in reception configuration, and 2,000 theater style. Its 28-foot ceilings permit special video and lighting displays. Elegant and impressive, the 8,600 square foot grand ballroom is capable of hosting banquets for 700 people, receptions for 1,100, and seats 1,000 theater style. Conveniently located throughout the Wyndham are 16 smaller meeting rooms ranging in size from the corporate style director's boardroom of 443 square feet to the center room with 2,880 square feet. You'll find all 387 rooms exquisitely decorated. Each room has a private balcony or patio and is stocked with a full wet bar, remote control cable TV, coffee makers with complimentary coffee, as well as state-of-the-art locking systems. When the meeting adjourns, Wyndham Paradise Valley Resort offers every imaginable diversion under the sun. Enjoy a set of tennis on one of 4 lighted outdoor clay courts. Or you may want to go for a swim. There are 2 outdoor, oversized pools with waterfalls and whirlpools. The Wyndham's Health Club features massage therapy and state-of-the-art equipment. 2 championship caliber racquetball courts are also offered at the club. And championship golf is only a 2-iron away. Or if a shopping trip is in order, there's a trolley transportation from the resort to nearby shops, and Old Town Scottsdale is only moments away. After all that, you may be ready for some Southwestern cuisine. Try Spazzy's Palm Pavilion for full-service dining in a garden atmosphere. Light snacks and afternoon cocktails are available by the pool. And the Loggia Lounge also serves snacks and cocktails in a living room atmosphere with relaxing piano entertainment. The striking beauty of the Southwest surrounds you at the Wyndham Paradise Valley Resort, inside and out, from the elegant lobby to the native Sonoran cactus garden. You'll find more than just another resort. It's an attitude, a dedication to serving the meeting planner's needs in the best way possible. The right way, the Wyndham way. Scottsdale is home to more than 100 galleries and artist studios, serving as a magnet for the performing arts, and with its backdrop of sweeping desert and purple mountain majesty, Scottsdale itself is a work of art. Many exciting outdoor group activities and adventures await you in this magnificent city. Scottsdale is the perfect destination to bring out the outdoorsman in you. The variety and quality of Scottsdale dining make it one of the Southwest culinary capitals. There are 200 first-class dining establishments in Scottsdale. However you remember your Scottsdale visit, it's destined to be unforgettable. Put a little spice in your agenda with an evening at Pinnacle Peak Patio. Operating as a steakhouse since 1957, Pinnacle Peak Patio is family-owned and operated, giving this restaurant a tradition of personalized service. Pinnacle Peak Patio is equipped to accommodate up to 1,600 people inside the restaurant. You'll experience a true Western atmosphere and see the absolute largest tie collection in the world. If anyone in your group wears a tie, hope it's their least favorite, because it's going to get cut off and hung high in the rafters. Pinnacle Peak Party Planners will handle all the details. The sales force will plan your event, book transportation and entertainment, and service your group with expertise. All dinners are served sit-down style on china plates by servers, most who have been at Pinnacle Peak for over 10 years. There are 4 private rooms available for groups from 70 to 600 people, and 2 patios that can accommodate 200 to 1,000 people. For smaller groups, the patios can be broken down into smaller areas. You may want your group to experience a real Southwestern cookout. 3 areas at the base of Pinnacle Peak offer available seating for 400 to 1,300 guests, or combining the 3 allows seating for 2,200 people. Your group will be surrounded by lush desert scenery, and they'll have a view of the city lights that can't be matched anywhere. For an authentic Western experience, come to Pinnacle Peak Patio. But your group might want to leave the neckties at home. Planning an event in Scottsdale, EDS West offers the most versatile conference management services in Arizona. Beginning with your group's arrival at Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport, EDS West can provide you with transportation, tours, theme events, and a wide variety of activities that will make your group's visit to Scottsdale a memorable one. Experience the Great Sonoran Desert by Jeep on an exciting Western adventure with real cowboy guides. Combine a river rafting event with a helicopter tour. Saddle up and ride through one of Scottsdale's beautiful desert preserves. Take a day trip to the Grand Canyon or float over the low mountain ranges, arroyos, and desert landscapes in a hot air balloon. Whether you're planning a program for 20 or 2,000, EDS West will create an atmosphere for learning, idea sharing, and fun. For more information about our services, contact Mary Ann Coe or Nicole Olton at 602-951-1218. Scottsdale, Arizona, where America meets. Thanks for being with us for this issue of our video magazine. We invite you to join us next month for a new destination. Where America Meets, the video magazine specifically designed for the meeting planner.
We express our appreciation to audiovisual presentations in Fort Worth. I'm putting their address and phone number up on the screen. If now or, and can you read it? Yeah, Mr. Mooch was very kind in allowing us to use this tape, the one that you saw last week on Dallas and the one that you will be seeing on Hawaii next week. Their phone number is there if you can read it, 817-589-2159. If you have any legitimate reason for contacting them to make inquiries about other destinations. Yes?
Is there anywhere in Houston that you can go to rent tapes on this order? If you have any in mind?
If anyone's listening out there and knows, I would be interested. We showed one 5.5-minute tape. The very first tape that we showed was the one on Houston, and it's provided by the Greater Houston Convention Bureau. And to my knowledge, that's the only tape of this sort that Houston has available right now. We'd certainly be pleased to put 30 minutes of Houston hotels on the air too, if we had access to that. So these were the 3 tapes that AV Presentations made available to us. Yes?
Blockbuster has a series of tapes, but they're not advertising in general. They'll have tapes on Hawaii, tapes on Miami.
Oh yeah, you
They'll
can
just
get
go on
travel
and show you
tapes.
everybody's type of cuisine, the type of beaches, the availabilities and facilities, but they have no specific advertising like the Wyndham or La Posada. That won't be on
Right.
the tape.
Well, these are the people who helped foot the bill on the tape, I'm sure. You know, there's no doubt about that. I've been fortunate enough to stay 3 to 4 days at 2 of these properties, the Registry and the Red Lion La Posada. And so, you know, they're both lovely properties. The others we drove by en route to our destinations. And I feel like these are very fair and accurate representations of the properties. I indicated to you probably about the second class of the semester that based on printed brochures, there was some misleading photography in one city. You know, when the tide came in, the beach left, and some things like that. But these properties really are as beautiful as they appear on the video. I think the sky is even bluer and so forth. What do you know about Arizona? Do you have a comment, Wally?
With facilities like that, for meetings and conventions, how would they expect, I'm not trying to be funny here, but how would they expect to get anything done?
That's a good question. How do you get any work done in an environment like that? You normally spread out the event. The heavier meetings are usually in the mornings, and you may stagger events too. And when we were at the registry, I'm pretty sure that's the one that they did an amateur tennis tournament the day before the official meeting started, so that probably half of the attendees, I didn't participate, just for the record, but I had fun cheering my friends on. But a number of you know that I was involved with the Professional Fraternity Association for a number of years, and those are executives of fraternities, professional fraternities, and they tend to go to resort properties just because their associations can afford it, and we like going to resort properties. Nicole, I'm going to come back to your comment.
Also, resort property and having, you know, the option to have, like you said, the tennis tournament, it gets everyone together and more cohesive group, and therefore, I don't know, I guess it seem to make the whole thing more productive, I guess.
Yeah. But it's hard to get the work done. And one of the things that you have to take into account if you are going to be, Professional Fraternity Association is an interesting example because their board meetings have about 9 or 10 officers and at-large types. The convention itself has about 150 people. So while it's a small convention, it's also a creme de la creme convention. Everybody there is, almost everyone there, is a national president, a national executive director, a national executive secretary. They are the meeting planners for those professional fraternities, and collectively they represent about 1.5 million people. So there were some things, there were perks that we received that Texas Speech Association or National Speech does not receive. When we went to Innisbrook, Florida, and that was another place it was hard to stay inside and go to the meetings, you know, because it was such a lovely spread out resort. But, you know, in each of our rooms there was a bouquet of flowers appropriate to our fraternity, which in my case was roses, and they gave me 24 yellow roses because I was from Texas. Somebody had done their homework and knew the fraternity colors for each organization, so mine were tied up with lavender and gold ribbons. You know, it's those little touches. Another place, you know, we had chocolate-covered strawberries. The Fairmont in New Orleans had wine and marzipan alligators and all sorts of treats. They did a special event. The host hotel for PFA always shows its stuff in some way by doing some special event hosted by the hotel that lets you know how marvelous their hors d'oeuvres can be, this sort of thing. The Fairmont in New Orleans took a regular meeting room like you've seen advertised and converted it with greenery, fountains, food. Just, I won't describe it all, you'd starve to death here in this mealtime meeting class. They took the logo of the Professional Fraternity Association and imprinted it in Grand Marnier chocolate candy. I mean, now this is, you know, getting really specific and catering to your particular group, but they recognized the amount of business that was potentially available there. The national sales reps come in as associate members for that group to meet with us. So, you know, I'm still on a first name basis with a number of the national hotel reps because of those kinds of exchanges. When we met at the La Posada, the national sales rep, Marion, his last name starts with P, and I can't think of it right now, came from Seattle. He's there most years. He flew the chef in, his master chef from Chicago. He flew into La Posada to give a special workshop for the meeting planners on menus, things you can ask of chefs, how not to repeat the same vegetable in the course of a convention. You know, you want a green vegetable every meal, but most meals, but you don't want green beans 4 times in a row. You don't want broccoli 2 days in a row, whatever. little things like that. But they took us on a tour of the kitchens at the La Posada. And, you know, that may be something you want to do some places, is to say, as part of this event, I want to see your kitchen. Needless to say, with those kinds of meeting planners there, it was spot. You know, that stainless steel was gleaming. Even though they were working on our doors, there wasn't a crumb on the floor anywhere. Now, not all kitchens function that well all of the time, but, you know, Marvin Zindler could make no case in that kitchen. It was beautiful. It was spotless. They gave us some free recipes for some of the fun things that they cooked there. But it's hard to stay on task when you're in, did you want to follow up? Or?
Yeah. I noticed a number of the places had golf courses and swimming pools. When planning this thing, the convention, would you want to set aside time for golf, or would that be expected for them
Depends
to do on
on
their
your,
own?
excuse me, it depends on your group. Professional Fraternity Association kind of learned and evolved a pattern over the years of leaving Saturday afternoon free, so that if we were in a city, although that group usually is not downtown, we went to Williamsburg, Virginia one year, and with an afternoon open, that gave you time. Most people had rental cars there, so there was time to drive down to Jamestown, you know, see the historic sites in the area. Because the hotel that we were in that year, I think the Drury Inn, was not one of these resort properties. Okay, so the hotel was very pleasant, but it didn't have golf courses and tennis courts and all those kinds of things. So to allow a block of time that, you know, if people have to write committee reports or whatever, or if they just want to go to their room and sleep to get ready for the big banquet on Saturday night, if the ladies need to go to the beauty shop and have their hair done or whatever, you know, you've got options like that. When we met in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, Saturday afternoon was free, so people could at least get out to the beach one afternoon. If you don't put those kinds of blocks of time in when you're in a resort area, people will simply skip the meetings and go. But if you know that everybody in your group is going to be free in a certain block, whether it's to go buy pottery or go to the beach or play tennis or whatever. A lot of folks, you may go to properties like this whether you play golf or tennis or not, because even if you don't use those facilities, the greenery, you know, the lushness of the area, the resorts that are in Florida, for example, the Doral Country Club and Inn down in Miami. Yeah, well, it's not on the beach side, it's on the mainland side, but yeah, down in Miami is a beautiful property. And if you're even from Texas and even farther away to the north, to get into that tropical atmosphere, you don't have to go play golf or tennis, you know, just to walk around and enjoy the different vegetation that's there and all can be a very pleasant experience.
Let's say, would you want 50% of the time being set aside for, I mean, dividing time, would it be 50-50 or would it be more like 80-20?
Probably more like 80-20, maybe for the whole group, and then you might want the tack on things either on the front end or the back, the sightseeing or the tennis tournament or whatever. Because generally you'll have people who won't participate in those things. You may have some attendees who've been there before. And if you've already been to Scottsdale 5 or 6 times, and some people go to meetings all year round, year after year. And so you have to look at the clientele that you have, whether these people have likely been to this area before. Let me ask you this quickie geography question. Which is hotter or cooler, Tucson or Phoenix? You know where Tucson is? Tucson's south of Phoenix, probably a couple of 100 miles. Okay.
Phoenix?
Is what?
Hotter.
Phoenix is hotter. Why?
I'm going to take a guess. Is it in the valley?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Valley of the Sun, if you probably subconsciously have that in your head. Tucson is up in the mountains, but if you're just looking at a map, you know, saying, well, do I want to go north, do I want to go south, whatever. You might think, well, I want to go to Phoenix because it's up, if somebody wants a side trip to the Grand Canyon, they're a couple of 100 miles closer. But, you know, is Mexico City hot or cool? Hot, year-round? Okay, why is it cool? Okay, it's way up in the mountains. I don't know the mean temperature there, but Mexico City is high in the mountains. Remember our athletes being out of breath because there's not enough oxygen and that sort of thing. It's like going to Denver or other higher points. So altitude is one of the things that you may take into account as well, but Tucson is cooler than Phoenix. The vegetation is different in Tucson. There's more of the big saguaro, however they say it, saguaro cactus and so forth. Vegetation's very different in those two areas. Tucson, we don't have a tape on Tucson, but Tucson has the big resort hotels, not as many, but several of those. But a disadvantage to Tucson is that, at least the last time I was there were not as many direct flights. So it was the problem of connecting flights, the same problem San Antonio has had, and they're getting better with direct flights. But San Antonio, Austin, you have an additional, Corpus Christi, you have an additional expense getting into those cities because you fly to Dallas or Houston and then take hopper planes, not hoppers, but you take a connecting flight. They're jet planes, but you have connecting flights. So if you're holding a convention in San Antonio, you know, connecting flights. Tucson, the last time I checked, was still primarily serviced by connecting flights. Colorado Springs used to have that problem, but tying back into what we were saying earlier with airports, Denver got themselves in such a bottleneck jam that Colorado Springs has now probably doubled the size of its airport. They have a beautiful new airport facility there and many, many more direct flights coming in. And because of Denver's problems, Colorado Springs is experiencing a boom in tourism and convention traffic. You know, other things jump out to you from this tape? Think for a minute. Let me see if I've missed anything here. Oh, I know. I was going to comment on seasonal rates, and this may be something that you want to talk with Jane Jordan about on Thursday. I'm not sure. When she talks with you about the Hyatt, you'll see that the rates change there. You can get really good deals at the Hyatt on the weekend because they're a business hotel, and their clientele comes in on Monday, goes out on Friday. She'll say this again to you, too. But there's a shift in rates there because of the traffic flow that they have based on people in the business economy. Resorts make their business in seasonal ways. And when we were at the registry, I think I'm getting this right, we also ate at one of those steak places where they sling out 216-ounce steaks for dinner. You know, and it's amazing to me that anybody can cook that many steaks that fast. But we were there, we went in mid-September rather than early October, and PFA kind of swings its dates around based on several factors. But one of the things we do is try to see the properties but get better rates for the benefit of the organizations picking up the tab. So often PFA is traveling in less than desirable season. And to go to Scottsdale in August or even mid-September, it's hot. Okay? We had a lovely Mexican dinner out by the pool with mariachi bands, and it was hot. Until the sun went down and the desert cooled off, it was hot. You know, when we were at Innisbrook in Florida, it was still pretty warm because we were there in late September, and Florida doesn't really get cool until October. But from October until April or so, these southern resort properties, you know, the rates will vary considerably whether you're on or off season, but so will the temperature. Yeah, go ahead.
The question was, when you said hot, it wasn't the discomfort normally associated with Houston's humidity, it was just hot. not the humidity that makes it.
Okay,
miserable to
in
sit.
Florida, you get the humidity, in Arizona, you don't. Yeah, so it depends on which place you're talking about. Right, but that's something, you know, as you're negotiating for rates and as the sales rep backs you up several weeks, you know, well, if you could come 3 weeks sooner, then I can knock $10 off the room. Well, what does that do to the average temperature? You know, when does the typical first cold front come through? Now, if you're going to be inside in board meetings all day, doesn't matter. You know, the PFA board almost always meets in January. So we've gotten some really great deals on beachfront hotels in January. You know, but we didn't want to go to the beach. We might have gone out beach combing, but you know, you couldn't swim then. So depending on what you want your people to do. Another thing I try to keep in mind with board meetings and your officers and you know, some portion of your attendees often have to deal with these. You saw a lot of variety in the boardrooms. Some of those boardrooms had big plate glass windows across one end. You could look out at the ocean. Others were rooms similar to this studio. No windows, you know, no frills. Clean, basic, functional space, but a no frills kind of arrangement. Now, if you have to spend 6 or 7 hours in a board meeting, the secretary is going to pop down to the deli and bring back sandwiches for lunch. You know, you're going in at 8 a.m. and not coming out until 4 or 4:30. What kind of place do you want to be in? Yeah.
The downtown Hyatt, not this place. Nothing to distract you.
Okay. Well, it depends. See, and you'd probably have to ask your officers, the people you're working with. I love working in a room that would have the whole wall plate glass with the ocean. I mean, I'd be wishing I was out there at the ocean. But I'd much rather sit here and solve all of these organizational problems, having a fantastic view or having some incredible chandeliers overhead. But, you know, maybe that's a female perspective on this. Some of the hotels, Chicago's Palmer House has a lot of inside meeting space because it's a huge hotel. You know, and when you have a huge property, you're going to have a lot of area without windows. And here we're talking about the nonverbal factors, you know, that we're not really off on tangents, even if it might seem like that for a moment. We're looking at the nonverbal environmental factors that affect the way the people are able to work, because we know the happier and more satisfied people are, the more likely they are to stay on task and get the job done. The Palmer House has these no windows rooms, but they sort of have that old English look about them, with some of them with fireplaces, with big leather chairs, with dark wood conference tables, you know, artifacts, objects around the room that you just feel like you're in the inside of some old castle or other wonderful estate. And so those ambiances may make a difference. Some groups, you know, work real well, just do fine wherever they are, and they're okay with that. But it's worth thinking about the effect that that has on your meeting planners and or your organizational group. There's a lot of emphasis in this tape on physical fitness, sports, health-related things, and that's another element to take into account. You know, do your attendees expect to be able to get to physical fitness equipment? You know, do you need an outdoor pool? Do you need an indoor swimming pool? Do you need both? How late are the hours? If you're going to have meetings running long, will the hotel, you know, can you use the pool until late? What kind of restrictions do you have on that? It's really frustrating to finish with all of your meetings and discover that the pool closes 30 minutes after you're through. You know, that's not a good deal. How likely are your folks to get into the swimming pool? We saw the one hotel, I think it was La Posada, but I've forgotten now, that has the grotto. I don't know if you caught that or not, but in between those wonderful pools out there under the rocks, there's a grotto with a bar. You have to swim out to that. Well, I guess there is one little walkway. Yeah, they don't have to swim to get the beverages out there. You know, but the assumption is that it's the swimmers who are going to be out there, and if you're out there in your regular clothes, you're likely to get wet just because of all the water that's sloshing around. You know, how, that's a lovely thing. It was really cute to see. But, you know, how likely are your people to be out in that sort of thing? One other factor about deserts, have you ever been in desert weather? Have you ever heard of a desert monsoon? Well, we got one. I think I've been to, yeah, I haven't been in a sandstorm. I've been to Tucson once, and I've been to Scottsdale 3 times now. And I forgot, it was one of the trips to Scottsdale that they had a desert monsoon. And, you know, they make our hurricanes look real passive. The lightning bolts are incredible, you know, just popping and banging everywhere. The wind blows. You need to get in your room and stay there. And particularly if you're in a horizontal property like these are, where you're dependent on folks driving the little golf cart type vehicles around to get you from one place to another. You know, high wind, much lightning. Now, it didn't last very long, probably lasted 2 hours. But when they did the 10 o'clock news that night, you could, you know, behind the broadcaster, you could see all these bolts of lightning going down simultaneously. Not a pleasant experience. Now, you know, what are the odds of that happening to your particular group? Probably low, but nevertheless, that's a factor in weather. So looking at things like temperatures, weather conditions, mean temperatures, all of those are things that come into play. Any other thoughts come to mind? Questions or observations? Okay, there are lots of things to take into account when you're planning something like this, from the geography to the convenience of the airport, the ground transportation, and you know, whether or not you want a vertical or a horizontal property, whether or not you want to keep your people contained in one area, whether you want them to be able to get free to go into town. You know, how likely are your people to go into something like Old Scottsdale and tour something like that? And all of those things are just factors that you need to keep in mind, because meeting planning for large groups is a very complicated activity. Okay, we'll travel more next week.